welcome everyone to the 290th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, August 22nd, 2019. This is a broadcast from the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department, part of the Public Teachings in English. I am one of your hosts today, Rick Cremond, along with Flint Mulhausen. And of course, we're joined with Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And I believe he's ready to go with today's teaching and information. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Good morning to you, as usual, wherever, whenever you listen to these series of Knowledge Seekers programs. As usual, we jump into the deep end and we try to explain a lot of things which in the scientific phenomenon of present time has no room or has not been understood. Today we carry on with the same pattern of work, with the same discussions, expansion of knowledge, and at the same time we try to understand more about the work of what we call the systems, how we can expand to the next level in understanding the totality and the full knowledge into, and by extent that we can work with and be comfortable with. As part of usual work which we have had is the conferences which are coming up and how they will be set. We had many requests from people who could not attend the full 3-day workshops, and they wanted to know if they can attend 1 day of it or 2 days of it. This has been now accommodated on the website. You can book for Saturday or Sunday. Sunday is it'll be what we call the official day. We try to get the governmental signature on agreements, and will be mainly in high level. We hope to be on signing of MOUs and contracts with governments for a number of countries within the presence of their ambassadors or delegation. So on the first and the second day is educational and showing the new technologies. So if you wanted to attend, the people from Germany who are asking questions, and from France, you can attend, but we need to know by end of next week. Those who want to participate, just register on the website. The conference in Mexico is still in the process of being discussed to be done, and the same is with Brazil. We explain further as we go on with these conferences and how we're going and how it will be done, as there are many developments around the foundation in different countries and different positions, and this we have to stay what we call dynamic and fluid, that we can respond to every condition. One of the things which we need to discuss and understand in the position of the Keshe Foundation, as you hear more, we have taken the case into the European Court of Justice with the Belgian government, and for this reason you will hear now till the hearing in the European Court of Justice a number of undisclosed facts about the behavior of the Belgian government in the court case, and we are open to negotiation with the Belgian government on a direct basis, not the way it's done in the background at the moment. The case, according to the lawyers, is very strong. 100% we will win the case, as we've been told, and the case will be in the favor of the Keshe Foundation, as we have seen many injustices and tampering with evidence. Our application is fully submitted to European Court, and we are waiting for a final date, And on that date, we will, by that date, we release huge amount of information into public, that the case is heard, how we've been treated by the Belgian police, in the court behavior, attendance of the armed officers threatening people, affidavit by the people, discrepancies in destroying documentation, not submitting the truth, and fabrication. So in the coming time in the teachings, do not be disappointed. It's 3 years, 4 years war since 2014, which this government has heavily launched on Keshe Foundation. They got a fake judgment by their own judges, now European courts. We have discussed with powerful people in this session, and they tell us there is no way Keshe Foundation will lose. And it shows terrorism by a state. This we will expand on it. We release pictures, documents, information in the public arena on a regular, frequent basis from now till the hearing. And as we said, now we are there to defend our case, not to be in a kangaroo case which has been run by them. This is very clear to us. We release documents from Mr. Policeman, as we call him, and documents that it shows clearly sustained harassment and intimidation and documentation, poisoning of Keshe Foundation staff, which we will show you how it's been done. And then we'll take this further into other dimensions that will show how the Keshe Foundation has been systematically put under pressure and falsified documents, bank account closed on the terrorism basis, because we now release how the whole thing has been done. I will explain, but you have to understand, from this week we become part of the what we call the stock market in the United States on the pink sheet. So a lot of what we do and what we say can affect the stock share value. We're trying to separate the Keshe Foundation work away from the commercial side of the foundation, and this has to be understood by the world of finance and world of commerce, those who buy stock and share stock, and what we announce, because every announcement from now on has and gains a value in the market. If we announce we start such a project which is connected and why we are doing it, the new development would indicate on the values of our shares in market. So hopefully by next week it should be completed by, as our team tells us, by next couple of days. You will hear the name of the company. Everything we release in the dimension of the Keshe Foundation shareholding as a stock market company is and will be released through the organization, not through the Keshe Foundation and the teachings, even though some might interact. There is something important which I explained to our team and I explained to all of you to understand, is that as usual, we have not gone the way normally is done. Normally, people, like as we see, start a small backdoor garage business, and then they make it to a multinational, and then they become in the stock market, and then as they become rich, they become philanthropists and give their wealth for the projects they want to do or share something of theirs. And then that's how it goes. With our work is, as our Chinese friends say, is upside down, the technology and the way it's been set up. We set a foundation. We gave away the knowledge and the technology that all of you can test and try. And then now, because of its progress, we have gone into commercializing it. We tested the waters with the smaller scale productions, like in Italy, like in Austria and in other places. And we tested. The technology has to be proven. That many of you did. So now we are going for a larger scale. And so this is totally opposite the way usually the market works. You build the wealth and then become philanthropists. We were philanthropists in science and technology, and now it creates a dimension that it needs to be commercialized. We've taken over the whole thing and we're commercializing it in a very specific way, as we have started in China. Now it'll go straight away into what we call worldwide operation outside China. there is a high possibility that we'll merge the Chinese operation into the international global operation in US. There is a possibility we might do that, but we have to see the situation. So what we see is that from now on, maybe this is the last time I can speak so openly before we announce the flotation in the market, and this is going to affect the shares, the share values, the operational values, and from now on we are literally in public domain as a corporation with financial effect, which, as we have said, we set up our tent in a way to bring a lot of things together, scientifically and what we call commercially. You got to realize we cannot separate, as you hear today, it's 290 sessions of teaching in public. There is many, many more in private, many private presentations, many workshops has been recorded. So market has to get used to the new way, Keshe Foundation way, that knowledge can be shared, there is no patent, but those who can and work with us will benefit through us and through our work, be it the government, be it the individuals. But in a very open way, we will set the standards. We will shut down all those Keshe Foundation KFSSI usage, which is illegal, and those who use our name to do public teachings with their own, as what they call it, benefits and everything else. So we become very much more exposed internationally and nationally, because from now on, if we increase the share from $1 to $2 and you own 1 million shares, you earn €1 million with one talk. So you understand how effective this is going to be. But this is not our problem. The problem of the market has to understand this technology has brought new dimension, new ethos, new ways, and it's the same. We will let all of you to participate in being part of it. Our plan in the global is very simple. Minimum 1 factory per nation in the next 5 years. What we call a factory is an industrial zone, which means has to have at least 250,000 square meters of manufacturing and industrial operation. This means that we invest in every nation at least over the next 5 years of opening 300 million euro of machinery and facilities. This means when we announce in certain countries, we might need more than one. In Western European nations, we see the need could be more than this. In the United States, we are committed to peace agreements with which we keep to adhere to, is that we see the need for at least 10 to 20 factory, what we call industrial zones. We will employ, we create huge employment in the United States. Our target is at least 30,000 employment within the next 5 years in the United States alone. Our capital investment in the United States will be heavy. You will hear step by step. And when you create such a job inside the Keshe Foundation operation, it creates another 200,000 jobs outside, transport, taxation, offices and everything else. We become part of a massive operation in every aspect. We do the same. We keep our commitments to the nation of Italy and the same to Western Europe. You will hear our commitment to the nation of Kenya. Is one of the first investments we'll do outside the United States. We are negotiating with the government of what we call Ghana in what has been done, and we are expecting a clear decision by the office of the government in respect to what happened in Ghana, and we have asked a direct result. They tell us within the next 2 weeks, they have started the internal investigation by the government, and they'll give us an answer. Our response is very clear. We invest if our investment, which has been there passing $1 million, has been secured and returned back to the foundation. This is very clear. If we do not receive positive response from the Ghanaian government, we release all the documents how the money is in Ghana has been stolen and how it operates. This will damage massively operation of the nation financially from foreign investments. We have made that very clear to the diplomats and politicians in the country. We are on the term of negotiation and we play very openly. All the assets which has been stolen from the foundation has to be returned. All the damages has to be accounted for and be returned back to the foundation. I'm very, very clear in respect to Ghana. We open all the books and we'll make sure no finance is supported if any outside financiers are in that position. We are committed to China. As you know, we are going on a huge clinical structure of trials for different diseases. And we should be able to give you telephone numbers today or maybe next week that if you want to benefit from the trials or the cases which are going on in China, you can travel to China and collaborate and work with the hospitals for different illnesses in the next weeks and months as we go and we develop. Our commitment to what we call South America is very clear. Mexico investments will be extended in agreement with the government. Will we move to the Mexico City or we expand where we are in what we call Tijuana. We own the property, we have invested there. Hundreds of thousands of dollars has been invested there, over millions. And we will keep to that. We are committed to the work that to bring the third world nations in scientific and space program equal. As I've informed the American military and defense and diplomats, our major work in the space will be in the new space environment of Arizona and Iran and China. We link the three together to develop a new space organization as we have announced it. Our investment and collaboration is on a scientific level and not on any other basis. As I said, this is the last time I can speak openly before the stock market is opened up, and everything we'll say will affect the condition and the share value. So we have to be understood clearly. We know we have, and we are going against what is being commonly known as a stock market value for shares. We are valuing our shares and we have people who have accepted the share price. We are not waiting for the market to dictate because they do not know what technology is about. Those who do value accepted shares will be by us, not dictated by the market for the initial stages. This is uncommon, but when you know nothing, how can you value it? When you have no knowledge of the science and technology, how can you value what it's worth? Where in other parts of the world, we are valued in 7 and 8 and 10 digit numbers. So we bring a new way, new ethos, sometimes rough, but overall, Keshe Foundation give guarantees on shares, which means if we do not reach the target value of the shares, we add it to be reached, or we give on the valuation amount, which means we put the value of our shares, let's say at $10 or $100, and we say in 2 years, we guarantee that we'll reach this target. And when we reach this target, your share has kept its value. But if we don't reach, we build it up that your value stays plus a certain amount of discount, which means you can never lose and your valuation stays the same. This is the how to operate. This is what we asked many of those who bought goods from Italy to convert your orders or whatever into shares, and it'll be done the same. Many people have accepted and transferred the shares now into the shares of the market. We have fixed the price. We are not moving from that price. Does not matter what is done in the market of what we call fixed price. It stays with those who make agreement with us. We will not add anything into it, and we will control it very tightly. So you will see new ways of operation, new ways of shareholding, new ways of sharing knowledge and technology. You got to understand how and why we operate this way. Because we have opened our patent. And when we open our patent, we work on the respect of sharing knowledge and being in that position to be to the real value of the technology. This is the reason why we go through these, what we call workshops, but in fact, what is not a workshop. These are what we used to call workshops for the government. This is what we used to call ambassadorial meetings. In these meetings, in these workshops, we will meet, you will meet with ambassadors, those of you who come in, you will meet with diplomats, you meet with people who make decisions for nations. And this is how we start operating. As I said in the last teaching, very clearly, we gave the key to governments. Then we taught what was in the government to public. And we've seen these people are sharing openly the public. Governments are hiding what they're doing. In the meetings which we hold as workshops, nothing is hidden. And this is how it should be. No patents, but respect for knowledge and technology. Sharing with the nation, with population. In the aspects of developing the new companies in different nations, Keshe Foundation has taken the next step forward, which means which every nation which we open a factory, or we call industrial zone, because they are targeted for a specific capital return to be able to feed the, what we call the profit into education, into health, and into infrastructure of the nation, what it needs, means we share our profit with the nation after taxation. We pay our taxes. After what is left, government spends what they like. We spend 50% of our profit into the nation, building the latest schools, training teachers across the planet to be all equal knowledge level, building hospitals, structuring that way. And the other 50% will go to the global, which means the nations will own companies in one sense. America makes a lot of profit, 50% goes in the bucket. China makes a lot of profit, goes in the bucket. And then the poorer nations. And then we run the same. Who needs, what needs, and members of the Universal Council decides on this in conjunction with the Earth Council. For this reason, to run an operation, we have given one incentive to the world leaders. Every president of the nation we work with, from now on, once we sign the agreement, it's their decision. They receive $1 million per year as a pension as long as they're alive from the organization of the Keshe Foundation for servicing or serving the nation. The vice presidents will be given $250,000 for life, as long as the conduct is on a peaceful manner. So what we do, we take corruption out of. This is an extension of what I explained to you about Mr. Mo Ibrahim. This time, we don't work, is be extending his work in the direct way that the income of the nation will be spent on the leaders that they can introduce and encourage the next generation of the leaders to be correct. This way, we gone one step further. With this, we use the president's knowledge and the expertise into increase world peace according to our ethos. So once you become a president in where we have the factories, you will have $1 million for life. As long as you live, that it means you're already rich enough that the service of the nation comes first. Goes the same because a lot of things are hidden in the background with the vice presidents. They do a lot of work. We respect their works too. And in this process, a structure will be set. We start to govern correctly and through the people who work and support us. Everything will be fully transparent. In so many ways, the Keshe Foundation has set up to work with nations. On the other hand, we will see the work of the foundation through its organizations very, very clear. We raise funds, shareholding by governments, and shareholding by people. So in a way, both benefit by the expansion of the new technology. This has to be understood fully how it's going to work by many of you who now we ask you to approach your governments in the coming days once we go national and shareholding, that through the raising investments in the market, we finance building factories, we finance feeding nations, and through its profits, we finance world peace. As simple as that. We have started the journey into the next step. One of our most important jobs with this process is our research and development, and as I said, will take big chunk of the work. We will not allow anyone to misuse and abuse Keshe Foundation name in the benefit and opening what I call sweatshop factories or trying to be undercutting or whatever. We will set values and standards as we go along. Anybody uses our technology will come under our 19% guarantee payment to the foundation. You will understand how we will work. This is not taxation. This is intellectual right, copyrights. We allowed you to use it, you build the market, and you will understand what it means. Which is what we agreed from the beginning with all those who use our technology. And you will understand how we will enforce it very, very rapidly. It's very simple. We open our patents, we gave you the rights to expand it, you made whatever out of it, or you have ideas that you can make out of it, foundation keeps 19%, which goes into automatic rights into the work of the global. So we operate in a new way, ethos of the foundation, to be correct. We have seen a number of Keshe Foundation supporters as knowledge seekers have done a lot of little things and they've been successful, and then it's mine, we will shut you down. You do not know what we have in plan. You work the correct way, we support you. You have new ideas, now the foundation is set up as a commercial organization. The research centers are open for you to develop your ideas. We finance it in the what we call industrial zones which are getting to build. The amount of money needed so large is not to making a GANs factory, is to make so many subsidiaries that you can cover everything in every nation, and all these needs investment. The medical application, the space application, the agriculture application, all needs expanding. We are not a little shop. As I said, we tested it with Italy and other places with the small magraphs, eye patches. These things would still be there in collaboration with the foundation. But in general, we're going for a bigger target. What we call, when we work for a total environment. We don't look at only United States or China or whatever. We look at what process, where is affecting most of us. And we concentrate across the planet to work on that way. Priorities for us is very easy. Air pollution, we have systems which will be introduced very rapidly once we go commercialized. in next few weeks. The other thing is cancer. Cancer agents which are in airborne and cancer agents which are initiating a lot of problems. We know we have identified many of them, and the new systems which will come will be in that process. You will see the structure of the Keshe Foundation to change in a very dramatic way in this way. We have split the foundation work of what we call the work of our commercial side in a very simple way. Factories, what we call industrial zones. Service industry of the Keshe Foundation. What we call commercial side, industrial side, and research. You will see the Keshe Foundation will come up as a multiple organization as the new company, which means we will support producing the hardware, basic hardware, or whatever we need. We develop service industry with it, its application. We build machinery to apply what is made here and what is learned from here, and then the research, which feeds continuously all three. As I said to the politicians and diplomats in Ghana, the reason we run into problem is the wages we paid was a fair way, and it was blocked, and it was stolen from them, and our workers suffered heavily. But till it's not sorted, it's not done. With Keshe Foundation, all employees have to have comfortable life and income, which means we don't make sweatshops here for people to suffer who actually make the products for the consumer to have a good time. From now on, the work of the foundation works on Mauritius. The man who makes it should have the same pleasure as the man who uses it. The sweatshop business is over. We pay well. At the end of it, if you look at it, when we pay taxation, who uses this taxation? The people who live in the country. Why do we pay less for the man to suffer, for the government to take more, but less to come to our worker? You will see, as we did in Ghana, we paid our first graduates enough that they will not leave Africa. And this caused a lot of problem. And this is a dilemma with the Ghanaian government has to understand, and many, many governments. People have to be paid not for the companies to make profit to cover the pension. We make profit for those who make that they are in pension from the time they start working. This is the problem at the present time. The company is showing more and more profit, putting their workers under pressure, that the money made can be used by the pension companies or other finance companies, that others who are richer can benefit by it more. This is the wrong way. This is why everything is collapsing in the Western world, and there is no continuity, because government cannot support more healthcare. Government cannot, because they put pressure on the worker from the beginning to be sick, worrying about every bill, where you create a comfort, you reduce half of your problems in your health, and at the same time, you can expand more. This is a new way. This is the ethos and the way the Keshe Foundation works. I have worked this way in my commercial business for many years. I know it works because I don't pay my staff to come to work. They come to work because they enjoy working, because they know they're looked after. And this is the way it has to be done. This is the way, the new way to be done. And we are not sentimental. I have operated like this for years in my companies. So we expand it now with the knowledge. We do not expect the workers to be paid little, bargain as much as you can, that somebody in the pension policy can sell more pension with more profit to cover somebody else's. The man who works has to be benefited by his work correctly. Peace at home, it brings peace into the nation. And we see why and how. This is the way you will see the Keshe Foundation, the new corporation will work. will change the ethos. We change gradually the working of it. We dictate the condition through the work and the way we do. Those who deprive the foundation and they think they are very clever and they move different things in the background, we're keeping an eye. And in time, we will respond. As many people tell you, especially Caroline and the people in the foundation, I have a lot of patience and I have a lot of time. It took me a long time to get to this planet, and I have no intention to fly up tomorrow till everything is done properly. So you will understand from next week, once we are in the market, once we start settling, we will respond accordingly, and the two sides of the operation of the Keshe Foundation will change. What does this mean? Is we will be more direct. We teach the technology the way we have done all the time, but at the same time, you come up with it, to do it, to use it, you understand you have a commitment to the foundation. But you got to understand, in every agreement we sign with the governments, there is one proviso. Everyone who produces, uses Keshe Foundation technology in different form or shape has to collaborate and get certification according to what we do. We have already started this in 2 countries and we know it works. So you will understand, we gave you the technology, you tested it, you used it, be it from the batteries for car industry, be it for new space plasma technology materials, which comes from the knowledge of the foundation. Large corporations work, and what they took from the foundation, we release publicly, and they have to respond back. Number of new technologies you see comes from the work of the foundation. I can name you cars, I can name you space technologies, and I can explain to you a lot of nano microchips which are using the Keshe Foundation technology, because I kept a track on them, because I know who they are, how they've been expanding on it. Their names will be exposed, and we do not produce patents, but from now on work respects for people's work. Now you understand how and why I release the patents. For you to grow it, for the humanity to benefit by it in the coming time. In this way, we had to close this because, as I said, as of next week, we have to watch. Arman is on top of me every day. You've got to make sure what he says. Our people tell me, from now on you cannot be so open, because from now on we're going to be more open, because it's not our fear, it's their fear. There, as we say, it will take some time to adjust. And in so many ways, we set a new standard, new way of cooperation, new way of respect for knowledge, technology, and intellect. And those who abuse it, you haven't seen what's coming. Are there any questions in this section before we go into teaching?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. As usual, I remind the attendees they can put their hand up and we can allow you to speak, to ask a question.
No questions. That's good. It means we all understood, or we understood nothing at all. Either way is good. In time we'll sink in. You have nothing for me, so I can carry on.
There's, just trying to read this one from Maria. She mentions, good morning, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for all your efforts over the years. Meanwhile, we have learned that a certain Kim has a hand on all human money and gold wealth. You could ask her if she supports projects that don't need loans to be paid back. And she gives a couple of websites there. So
I don't understand.
Maria is suggesting that you could ask this person, Kim, who supports projects that don't need loans to be paid back. In other words, for financing.
Oh, that is not our job. We are not in a financing business. What our work is to structure the technology into be benefited by the people who use it and those who develop it. And as I said, this technology will touch everybody, everything on this planet. Every living thing will be touched by it because of these fields and gases and machinery in the systems which are coming into operation.
Okay, we do have a question from Jan in the YouTube who says, greetings. How can you secure the share price once the company has been listed on the stock market and the share is open for trading?
We run a system which the share price in the market, we control the amount of shares. We know how many. You got to understand, we're coming to a different direction. We are not setting up a new company in the market. We have bought a company which is already existing in the market for years. We know how many shares are in the market. So those shares does not value much, but we decide how much new shares with new way we put in the market. This is not the way it works. We have a very tight control. We know exactly the name and the shareholders. We have bought the existing system. This does not count to us. Market can price. We negotiate for prices which we see and we value. These people who bought these shares most probably end up some of the richest people in the world. But that's what is to come. But we invest according to return on capital investment, which means usually the way we structured it, and you will see it in China and other places, we set the factory to make X amount of profit in irrespect of capital investment. With that profit, we know we can guarantee shares 2 to 3 times the value in the market, maybe 100 times value in the market. The market will move to our prices. We do not move to the market prices. We are introducing new technology, so the shares are bought on the basis from the foundation in a different way than you buy stock market shares. Those you will see, there are millions of shares in the market at the moment, existing company, and then you will see those shares will move to our prices. We are not moving to their prices. It's a totally different handling it. The shares will be fixed at an amount for given time, and this is the part which we agreed to do. So it means you have your guarantees and you understand how it works. You buy shares from us, not from the market, and according to the rates we have given for it to be valued at. Very profitable, very organized, and what you will see is different than the present trend. We share part of the company with shares with national governments, which means governments become shareholders in our organization. This is part of our agreement with setting up companies. So what you will see in the overall few years to come, World Bank will be replaced. In a way, each nation shareholding in the total financing operation of the Keshe Foundation worldwide. The Keshe Foundation, in time, will be owned by the nations and not by foundation. And on that extent, there will be a common denominator, shares for public, which means overall, public and governments will make the future. This is the only way we can get out of the present dilemma of the taxation and all the promises which governments make and cannot keep because of how they want to play, who going to be richer to get what is going to be less to the others. This way, as I said, we are setting up a global operation, not just a Keshe Foundation. So in the coming time, you will see as we negotiate with the governments, let's say United States government will hold shares, primary shares in the Keshe Foundation. So we'll do Ghana. So we'll do Bangladesh. And in a way, the profit from each one will come into the bucket that the foundation has to use for the others. You talked about the loan. You don't need the loan. When the nation's income goes according to their production internationally and nationally, we pay, let's say 25% taxation on the profit to the government of the United States. Then we still have a balance left. We know what the balance is. Half of that will be spent in the country, so we can partner with the government. And the other half will go for the rest of the family worldwide. You don't need to borrow. You don't need to put nations on the burden of heavy debts. The central bank, central pot will support it, be it a disaster, be it development, be it space travel. In a way, by the time I finish, we have set a new United Nations, one nation. We have structured a new World Bank. You don't need to borrow, you don't need to be dictated, because governments will earn from it for their domestic. We pay for what a nation needs on half, and the other half fills in the bucket. But the rest to expand. Peace programs, understanding more, expanding interaction between different parts of the world and scientists and the rest of it. And our target is very easy. Every factory at this moment, even in China, is set to produce $1 million minimum a day. We do not operate if we do not make. And now you understand how the structure will carry on. We have set up the industrial zones all planned this way. Minimum $1 million a day per factory. You can see the employment, you can see the space and knowledge and everything else which comes with it. I've been in business for 20 years. I know exactly how to run a business successfully. And I've been in the world of science and other parts I know. So if you look at it, you live in a country, you know that every day your nation receives huge amount of funds from what you buy, what you use, would you buy any other brand, and what it gives you back to your nation. You will understand exactly how we set up. Every industrial zone has to be, and is planned, not to, is planned, is structured this way, to produce $1 million a day. That's why we set up a 300 million euro industrial zone. We pay taxes fully to the nation. because the nation, the governors need to govern. At the same time, after taxation, we pay 50%, we reinvest what the nation needs that cannot come from taxation to feed. And the rest will go into what we call central banking, that all other nations have access to. And then it's the job of the Universal Council members and the Earth Council members, which projects will have more effect totally on humanity and gets financed. No nation will need to borrow anymore to be controlled. You got to understand, as we've seen in China, increasing the harvest 2 or 3 times, and we're seeing with other programs in the health and the others, we will create huge amount of wealth and food. In the coming 3 to 5 years, there'll be no man need to go to sleep hungry because the food is there. We all still pay for it. It's not going to be free because it pays for the other works. This is what we've seen. And now you understand how we restructure. If we produce in the next 10 years 100 factories around the world, which is the minimum, you have 100 million a day, which 25–30% is tax paid to your nation. Gradually this will build up to be more than the oil revenues of today in the next 10 years. You will understand as we go further. At the moment, everything is in my name, and my rights I've given to the foundation, it goes back to the foundation. And gradually the governments will own. Every one of you as a citizen of the nation become part of this structure. I have to tell you, we've done this before and it works. We have no worries. From now on, what you invest is not only in your nation, but is on this planet, because you know where it goes. And finance companies understand this because we still cover part towards those who need it, that they have to pay for all the pension policies. All we changed is what we call pension business to be pension themselves. It is not correct to doom a man to a life of death, to wait to die at the age of 60 or 65, where now he's going to live 120, 150 years. Man should be productive and active as long as he is, and that allows mankind to create a new dimension in life. We don't need to work from age of 20 to 65 in the same company that will get a pension when we retire. The pension has to start on the time we started, not to force us to get sick to die. The faster we die, the more money is for the pension policy. We change the ethos. Man should go to work to enjoy, not to go to work to survive. And this will change. You will understand very, very soon. I'm not a dreamer. I have carried this out, I've tested it over 20 years and it works. Now we let people who thought they're going to run the foundation, the factories or whatever, and we see there's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of abuse, a lot of incompetence, a lot of competence. And this will all come to play. And it has to be said, we don't have all the resources in the foundation, all the talents, so they'll come in with their own ways of thinking, but in time they'll change back to the way we work once they understand it. The greed of the man will be there, but the conscious of totality, what we call collective consciousness, will return things back to normal in a very, very short time. People will queue up to get a job, to work, not queue up just to have money to live. When you pay correct, and people understand their expectation has to be just, you'll find a lot of people want to work. They enjoy coming and sharing their life with others to make things, to support things and do other things. When I run a business in Africa a few years ago, when I used to land, they used to tell, Keshe's landed, he's here. By the time I used to get to the office, there was a queue of people outside waiting for jobs because their jobs was guaranteed and their family was part of the company family. Their food, their comfort counted more than anything else. And we had to say to a lot of people at this moment, we are full. I did the same thing in Ghana. You have to understand how we run into problem in Ghana with officials. You just go on the internet and check. A minister, assistant minister, maybe 3,000 to 5,000 CDs. A graduate with a PhD with 10 years work takes home around about 2,000 CDs. Because we knew what we brought in and the certification we received, we paid 4,000 CD to first graduates with a master's degree. Now you can see the problem. The minister, the man at the top, worked all his life, that's what he gets. And the young boy, that's what he gets. This is the correct way. Because we don't let the boy to leave Africa on the boats to sink and to die halfway to Europe, or become the dishwasher in McDonald's. He keeps his respect, investment of his nation in his nation. This is how it should be. And this is how Keshe Foundation Global should operate. Those who take after me or with me to work. Now you understand why all this stealing goes on in Ghana. Why should a graduate in Europe earns 10, 12,000 and live in the comfort of the West, and the same boy of the same degree, maybe more talented, get into the boats to wash dishes somewhere, and he might get a job like this. We gave the job to him at source, and he stays with his nation. This is how it should be. The immigration and travel should be for pleasure, not economical condition. It's the job of the Keshe Foundation to secure that from the beginning. What's the use of paying taxes to spend on a pension and hospitals where you give the money to your worker that never sees the hospital because he looks after himself? Half of the problem in the operations of today is the guy has to always worry about, can I pay something else? Can I buy extra shirt? Can I give one more sandwich for a child? Because the money is taken in black, not to pay taxes, and then the taxes are not paid to support. So who suffers? The man who makes the money, who goes to work, and this has to change. And with the new technology, it will change. You will see very, very rapidly. There'll be those who abuse it, there will be those who oppose it, as we see here. If you remember, I flew into Ghana to give a press conference to the minister who called me the Iranian terrorist, because I became a terrorist to his funding. He gets paid that much, my graduate gets paid that much. Some of these microphones on. So, as I said, we speak very openly, as you know what is to come after next week. We cannot speak so openly because it shares a lot of things, but on the other hand, as we are fixing the price of the shares ourselves, we don't need anybody to tell us what is 1, 2, and 3. Don't forget, there was no Facebook, there was no Microsoft, there was no internet, and those who brought it set up the new science and technology. They brought the thermal conditions. Now this is a condition of work and the new science and technology. We set it up because we can set it up. We give guarantees to governments when we invest. Total transparency. Total work on the international operation. The shareholders in the main company, so they can see everything. They are part of it. Times will change very soon. But anybody opens a bakery using a gas technology for his bread, we're looking for that much to be contributed to the main company. We used to call it intellectual right property. We call it human rights property. Gradually, national taxes will change to this figure. You will understand how and why. Any other question? Hello, Mr. Crammond.
Yes, I'm searching our sources of questions here, trying to find.
It's so logical, not many people have to answer.
I think there's still some confusion about the idea of a listed company and having a share price that's limited or whatever. There's.
We are all shareholders in the company. You will understand how it operates.
I think we'll find out more information next week, probably on that one, eh?
Yeah, as we release it, the share values will be announced. It's already been agreed. We already have many people who have taken up the shares because it works with the data center foundation. That value counts. What people accept counts, not what people fake it to make money out of it. Okay, we go back to the teaching. In the teaching of last week, I opened a new dimension in the understanding of the totality. In the work we did, we always considered what we put into our reactors, what we put in our system, what we put in our patches. But what we didn't consider up to now was the environment. Because whatever happens here, there is some interaction from inside. And these forces are opposite to what we normally understand. The reason is very simple. When you put a lot of material together, you create a different field force, compact and dynamic. When you consider the field forces of the outside, they come and they are in a way link up at different strength. This is what will affect in so many ways, as we say in Magra positioning, in field for strength of the position, and those field forces which are the balance between the two. Many of you, as I said before, who tried and could not succeed with a flight or whatever, you always only looked at this environment, and this has been part of your problem. Now you have to understand, and as you join the space technology, is this the field forces of the Earth? Is it the moon? Or is it a galaxy? Then you can create field forces that interacts with and conditions and positions so in respect to the fields. Many of you who tested could not understand why I cannot fly, why I cannot develop a condition to remove cancer. Why can I create a condition that the plants grow without the water? Because in none of the cases you considered the main creator of the condition. You are a toy in the hand of the external conditions, even though you're self-centered and produce your own dimensions. This is what all the work of the foundation will come into. You look at it, what do? You made a patch. You put a patch somewhere else. And then in between you have the body. Who creates the condition? Your patches or your tumor? You have created the new environment. And this guy has to play with as you set up. And in reverse, if you look at it, who has set the condition? This is the moon, this is the earth. You have to conform with it, which way you want to be. One is the reverse of the other, but one creates a condition for the other to exist, to perform, to interact. When you make these patches, what do you do with it? What is the purpose of it? Who's traveling to where? You remember the two magnets I showed? One stands still and the other one flies. The stronger always holds and it gives. The same is when you go into the space development. The same is when you want to create material. How do you transfer the fields of the universe into matter state as you need? Have you understood the work of the environmental condition and the condition of environment that you create? You got to understand, to many of you, these things might not have any meaning because you don't understand the implication of it. But those who are in the scientific world have understood, and we see many new things coming up in past 2 weeks. Because these, as they say, were missing links they never considered. You have to, if you work, understand your position, and at the same time understand, in reality, this is part of the story. The other part is there are other sources which dictate this too. What happens when this is not there? But how can you convert this to be part of it? How can you transfer the energies of the universe in hydrogen or gold or aluminium as you need? If you understand this, it should be easy. You don't need dynamic reactors. You have to understand how you use the conditions of the universe, fields of the universe, to convert to what you need. One thing you have to understand, the field forces on this side are stronger than this one, even though you use the fields from the same source. In the world of plasma physics, magnetic field motion, every micron counts. Forget about meters. Do I need to carry a reactor? Or if I understand, I can use the same field forces of the universe to create what I need to be in the position and the position I need it to be. Now you understand how the game of plasma physics and your work has a new dimension. As we say, making something out of nothing, but in fact it's not a zero time energy in space, is using the space and the energy which is within the universe to create conditions and matter state. Up to now, you have been busy, as I said, with this. Make a stronger gas, do something, make a patch, do something. But the universe has given you the aura of the man, give you the machine. You don't need to make a patch if you understand how to transfer fields across. There is no reactors, there is no motors, there is no coming and feeding, but planet Earth for past billions of years have existed through this principle. Using the interaction of the field of the universe to create its own existence in conjunction with something very little in comparison with something slightly stronger. Man should have understood this by looking at the moon, where the sun was the prime culprit. Many of you in the present world of science think that the moons were created out of. In reality, the moons are the cause of the creation and the strength of the planet. Because they are in interaction with the mother. They need a point of reference if you understood the teaching of last week. There is a fundamental understanding of this in a way if you look at the principle of the totality of the axis of the earth. At the moment, when we listen to a bunch of hypocrites in the science of cosmology, they say we should look in the universe, find planets which are the same distance from Earth and could show the sign of life. You'll find out. Look at the facts. Look at the reality in the construction of the physicality of the body of the man and the physicality of the Earth itself. Life only exists, confirms physicality and diversity when there is a change of position in the strength. Life will be very hard to find in the complexity of the Earth when the axles are straight and perpendicular to the field of the motion of the universe. When you have small diversion, you have life, extinction, mixture, seasons. So what happened to man itself that you never understood? Look at the position of the heart of the man. Sits in an angle, not straight, in the body of the man. Now you understand why your heart is slightly off-center to the left and why it sits in. Because it's work, replication of the planet Earth. It creates diversity, liver, heart, and everything else for the body to exist. And none of you ever looked this world of science has never understood the diversion in the what we call positioning of the body of the man and the universe. Those of you as a cosmologist who look for life and diversity as Earth, you found your planet, you found your solar system, but how does it work? In that, very little. In this, you'll find diversity. Those of you who set systems up and you expect to see things and nothing happens because, yes, sorry sir, you replicated the rest of cosmologists. All simple little things have to be considered, and man of science of today never understood. It's just there. Why is it there? Why the liver has a certain shape, and why does the kidney covers the same shape as other parts? Have you seen your ear? Have you seen your brain structure? Do you see much difference in the shape? Have you looked at your lungs? Have you ever understood the truth about the creation, or just a bunch of things we do because we operate on it? Look at all your organs and see what happens. Shape is consistent. And if you look at the field flow of this universe, even the Earth, you will see the same. Is this your kidney, or your heart, or liver, or the field flow within the structure of the planet? The containment has changed. We call one the containment the physical body of the man, and the other one we call the universe. But in fact, the field interaction is the same. Nothing has changed. And the present world of science is ignorant to the limit of what we call fascinating themselves with a bunch of works, lies and cheats and the rest of it. But you travel this space, you look at the field flow of the universe, and then you understand what universe you're in, which part of the universe, how the fields flow, what conditions will create, what do I have to expect, and what do I have to do to be able to be part of it. Mankind has not understood the totality of his own creation. It's the replication of the universe. Then maybe our physicians can tell us a little bit more. The brain of the man, the lung of the man, the heart of the man, the kidneys, and look at the rest. Even your testicles and your balls, or whatever you want to call it. And then go further down. And look at the field flow of the planet. Isn't it the same once the man becomes educated? Absolutely the same with the field flows of the universe. The scale is the same. You start from the universe to your planet, to your brain, lung, and the rest. It's uniformity. Here, you call it the spinal cord. Here, you call it the center axis of the planet. So it's the same with the universe. Once you understand one, logically you can get to the other. But how do you create it? How do you expand it? How do you go into the inner sanctums of knowledge of the creation? And there's only one way to have a full understanding of the operation of the whole lot. A man has got a long way to go. We have come a very short time from being finding the fire. After hundreds of thousands of years, we understood the power of the water, and then we called it the Industrial Revolution, and then we brought another revolution with the electrical and what we call electronics, and now we have a revolution in understanding the field flow, which created all these to start with. Now we deal with the chief. Now we have to understand new understanding and technology in that respect. The extension of knowledge is the limitation of prejudice of man, of his own ignorance and nothing else. And the sooner we understand this, the sooner the whole of humanity, this race, will go to the next step. Prejudice of race, color, intelligence, and everything else has blinded a man to the reality that he knows nothing but his ignorance and prejudice toward his own ignorance. And we understand more and more the way, as I explained to diplomats very past few days, is that, as I said before, we share the knowledge that nobody can abuse the other, and everyone has the right intellect to understand the totality. You don't need to be, as I said, a South Korean nuclear physicist to say that we're waiting for the Americans to bring us the technology. Why? From an Iranian scientist. It's you who puts yourself below another, not the others. So they dictate wants to understand your peoples. You allow the abuse, not them. Try to understand the work of a very simple thing, which is opposite to what you always thought. You will see in a very strange dimension. To you, this is the creator, because it's bigger. To me, this is the creator, because he holds tighter. That's where the creator came from. Releasing and expanded. But at the same time, field forces return back to keep in touch. We call this magnetical, and I call this gravitation. The pull to be connected is stronger than the pull to leave. Even it's the same with the emotion of man. We always go back home, even though we endeavor to see the universe. It's within the fields of the man, and he puts it down to his emotion. These principles are and will become the cornerstone of the work of the space technology. As I said, in a very short time, we will set up the space programs in a very strong way in Iran. Iran will become the birthplace of the new space technology. We collaborate with all other nations to share the fruit of the knowledge. But we have to understand one thing, and that is, do we spend time to learn more about the universe, or do we first learn more about our own weaknesses than the universe we can survive? This way, we need thousands of years to learn everything. The other way, we jump in the pool and we will learn to swim. Sometimes it might be dangerous, but sometimes mankind will succeed to join what we call the universal community, which is the essence of the creation. As I said to a friend, universal community is not a bar everybody's sitting there waiting for you to come. Universal community is what you are part of, what you never understood. That their fields has led to your creation, and your field leads to their existence. We are not waiting for parties and welcome parties for people to be there. We are there. The party is the intelligence of man, how much we understand, and we can go further in understanding the work of the universe. And then with it, we'll see more of what we call the community knowledge of the universe. Not the physicality of being, even though man is always so physical. Try to understand this, as I said before. Now, the environmental space fields become more important than what you create, because you can create out of them and you can give to them. Do you need a dynamic reactor, or did God created a motor somewhere with a small reactor which led to the creation of the planet Earth? This is a huge jump. Even some of you might try to understand it, to converting the fields into entity and then converting the entities to fields. This is going to be a huge jump in the knowledge of man. It'll be as bad as if you went into coma about 100 years ago and it was donkeys and carts, and you wake up today to space technology, computers and everything else. But in all of it, there is always a need for what we call the initiator, the ignition. The source, which is already pre-made, is very much like what you call in baking. You can make as much noise as you like, no problem. What do? We put the yeast in it to start it. And what man should understand, that yeast in creation and the start of the life of the universe is the souls which are created on planet Earth and took position in the dimensions of the universe. Now you understand. And if you understood this fundamental principle, you have matured to be the star universe. If you look at it, your soul was created out of fields, and now your soul becomes that star. Did your father or your mother put two reactors and rotate them at a given speed? Or did the womb of the mother create the condition for them to exist, that through it confirm and develops the existence of the fields which can work within the strength of that? In the future, man will understand slightly more, and that is those souls who will become stars in their universe, or those souls who create the dynamic condition of the totality which manifest themselves in other universes as they gain their strength. And there are souls which in direction and strength create that they reach the condition of the soul of the Creator. There is no difference. This is what you gather on this planet, the cycle of the extension of the soul of man. Then it goes back, if you remember, some times ago, when I said you can think and you will achieve. Because your thinking is part of your soul, it's part of the fields. And your hands is creation and the creator of the holder of the different balance fields. And what you think, you will create. But the only thing you could not understand, how to use the fields of the universe, and not just of yourself. Now you understand how easily you can produce materials and any state of matter or soul anywhere in the universe. As I said many times, for me to change mankind is very easy, but the problem with mankind is this and this, which they run opposite to each other in structure. And this has been one of the main causes of the problem on this planet. If we could have created life with a man, the heart, a slightly different direction, you can see what we would have achieved. But why do you need one opposite to the other? Because it creates a balance. Confirmation, I give you and you give me. You'll find many of the children which are born dead at this point of die at a point of birth have this problem. Positioning of heart. If you change the position of heart of the man, they will die in condition of the planet Earth. Because that angle, that position has created the dimension of physicality of even his own brain and lung. Then you understand how a physical matter condition of the planet Earth itself with life needs another reverse condition for it to create another life within itself. Then if you understand this, you'll understand how to create anything in the universe and the dimension of the field of the understanding of the work of the fields of the universe. the structure has not changed. It's man's lack of understanding of the reality, which is the problem. Life exists in every dimension, but you have to understand how it positions itself in respect to its source, in respect to the central line of the universe. This is one thing that you have to consider all the time. Where are you in respect to the line of interaction? All systems, be it Earth, be it man, be it the solar system, be it galaxies, all align themselves to this line and nothing else. Doesn't matter which part of the universe you sit in. And according to the alignment, you create different condition of life. When man expands into the future of the science of the space, we find out very much like Earth, something very strange. Life on this side is very different than this side. You have the white man, you have the black man, you have Americans, and you have the Indians, and the rest of it. It's no different in the space than in the dimension of physical life. Will have different mentality, different conditions, different environments. Even when you go into the depth of the universe, you will find the weather here is very, very different than here. This is magnetic field flow. We teach to open the horizon of understanding of the man and no more. And when you see in the bigger scale, you understand how to manage the smaller scale. All of you set up your reactors. Good, very nice. But how many of you said your reactors are slightly tilted? If you look in the original pictures which were released by Austrian research, they showed it but never understood it themselves, that they tilted the reactors in position, and that was most of the time when they succeeded. The problem or the understanding is very simple. When you set a reactor on a straight line, you have created uniformity. When you sit with an angle, now you see uniformity is different. And if I expand, you can see the fields interact in a different way. If they were in a natural straight up, you see the fields are different. These playing with the fields, positioning the field, is the key to the future development of the science of space and space travel and creation of every condition, even creation of the soul of new entities. In space, you do not create, unfortunately, gold. You create the soul of the gold in a strength field that in any condition would lead to creation of gold for you. Go back to the writing of Baha'u'llah, bless his name, it says even stone has a soul. Now you understand. You can create this. Read the writing of Muhammad, bless his name. You understand in many verses what he explained this, but man never understood. This is the totality of the knowledge. And this is a cornerstone of man's survival in space. To us, everything has to be straight and upright to be correct. The beauty of the creation comes out of its diversity of imperfection. Then you understand how the field of the universe counts more than your own reactors. I sometimes make a joke, and if you understand, has a lot of which way is the soul of the creator. If it was this, would it lead to this creation of life, diversity of life? Or is it this, that it can give and take and create the love of life? Man needs to mature, and mature very, very fast, because now you got to understand, goes back to where I started the discussion of today. It was very simple. We spoke about Keshe Foundation Global and Keshe Foundation. Now we were little in the obscurity, few hundreds of million people know. Now everybody will know. The knowledge expansion will be very rapid, and that's why we open the doors to speak. Now we come into the dimension that every scientist will assess his own knowledge and his work, and cannot be hidden because it's own pattern. You will see what I started years ago now is coming to pinch the man where he actually needs to be pinched. Bring knowledge, now the totality now. As I said to somebody very recently, do you think mankind with the new knowledge now is open? What is Keshe Foundation? Why is the shares at this value? Who are they? Who they become? You think they're going to listen to a bunch of Belgians? There shall be no king, because they wrote it of themselves. Now you understand very, very quickly, very soon, where we are coming. Any questions? The pictures look very clear today.
Yes, it was good.
There is no comment, Mr. Requirement? Are we still resigning?
The pictures
We made it perfect
good.
for you.
The audio was not very good, though. It was dying off, and I had to listen at full volume in order to hear you. So
Where today?
Yes, it was going off. I sent a couple of messages, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but
we done our best this time.
yeah, it sounds very clear right now. So
yeah, we are on the internet system, huh? So
I think being close to the whiteboard sometimes interferes with
because we got a free microphone.
Yeah.
That's something we cannot avoid, unless you want me to swallow the microphone and let him think my way.
That's why I didn't want to interrupt you, because probably we couldn't change it anyway.
No, it's like being closeness to the mic, to the what we call the screen, is a magnetic field interaction.
Yes, it's the old magnetic
So
thing.
from now on, I'll extend my arm and I'll do it remote standing as far as possible.
Um, we had Ali here with his hand up. If he would like to
Hi.
say hello, go
Uh,
ahead.
Hi, Mr. Kish. Hi, Rick. It's good to talk to you again.
Ha! You're alive.
Yes.
We haven't heard from you for a long time.
Yes, it's been an interesting few years, and there's been interesting, forces around, intermingling. But by the grace of God, everything is okay, and I'm fine and still going. I created this system using copper pyramids and plasma units. So the same for plasma units that I had. I created a copper pyramid. I can send you a picture also if you want me to.
You want to,
And
yeah, explain to us what you're trying to tell us.
sure, it's a 7 feet copper pyramid. It has four copper poles, and I also made a video that Rick. I sent it to Rick. That one you can do it just a still shot if you want. That way, maybe Mr. Kish can have a look and give us some insight. It's been very interesting. My body really repairs very fast when I'm in it, and also my need for food has gone very down very much. So I don't need to eat as much when I'm in the system. So one the plasma, the three plasma units have uh, two polarities. The uh, one line goes to the bottom of the pyramid. The top goes into one of the corners. So I have four plasma units. They each connect to one corner of the pyramid, and one line goes to the top, one line goes to the bottom. And what I noticed is that it my body repairs really fast, and my need for food has
Why
gone.
do you go and damage yourself deliberately to see if you repair?
No, it's just whenever like I do a sports and stuff, and I have a lot of pain in my joints if I sleep in the pyramid. It with those plasma units around that originally we had designed, is just within a day I'm back to normal and I feel good. So this is kind of a still shot. If you go a little backwards, Rick, there's four corners of the pyramid. So yeah, on each side you see there's a plasma, and one line goes to the bottom piece, one line goes to the top piece. So that's the configuration. And I was wondering if you can bring some insight on uh, how this creates the field or the field effect to improve the you know um, health and also reduce the food consumption.
What is important is that what fields you created, and are these all copper ganses or
Mm,
all the coppers?
no,
You see,
the
you have any nano-coated copper material in the vicinity?
only the plasma units, not the copper poles itself.
Okay. Why you recover fast even from injuries is because you use copper. Doesn't matter in what shape. Now you concentrate it. Uh, most of the body of the man has a copper content in his muscle tissue. We are made of it. It's one of the first teachings we explain. That's why with the muscle damage in certain ways, you need to use copper, CO. And so the reason you recover is because these are in tune with the field strength of your physical body muscle tissue. If you, for example, change your systems to another material, like let's say zinc instead of copper coils, you'll find out you'll affect the psychological pattern. your emotions.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
And so, in a way, you tune into the physical dimension of CO. If you use nano-coated steel or iron, you'll find out you change the what you call the field emotion in the man, because now you touch the hemoglobin, the field interaction. So we understand this, and in so many ways, you go into an environment which is balanced itself, but in that balancing is made of the copper, which is the creator of your physical dimension in the muscle tissue. That's why you get it what it needs. I presume if you even nano-coat this copper to what do you call it, copper triangle or pyramid you made, you'll find totally different reaction, much faster reaction.
Okay.
But you got to understand, you need to nano-coat the tube inside out, both sides, unless you use a solid rod.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much for your
Thank you. It's
insight.
nice to hear from you.
And nice to hear from you. Long time no see, but it's been a
Okay.
challenging few years in overall many levels. But you're always in my heart and my prayers, and
Thank
always
you very
wishing
much.
that everything is good. Okay. Have a
Thank you
good
very
day.
much, Ali.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Any other question?
We have, let's see here. Dan has a question in the Q&A. It's a little hard. He has actually 7 questions altogether in his question. But from
Are
what
there anybody else than him? Any other questions?
So Freed us in the live stream. So our hands can be used as a plasma field to heal ourselves by intention and vision of a perfect balance.
Yes. This is what some of the healers use, because they understand the strength of the field. If you look at it, you look at the transmutation of the energy and not matter. And this is what it will take place when you use your hands. When you go to certain healers, they can heal some people, but they cannot heal others, because they feel the strength of their body does not match. And that's the problem. And they can fit some others. And with the new space technology, plasma fields and other gas fields, you will find out that can be done the same. It's a new dimensions. Many of you are trying, many of you will try new dimensions. And you will understand more. We have to move into the next step or next stage, what we call the field interaction and matter interaction, and understand how we create matters out of fields and how we create fields out of matters, and where we want to create cancers out of the condition, which means in both dimensions, but we decide where and when and what fields. From now on, it's a very exciting time coming up for those of you who do a lot of research in the fields and transmutation of minerals and transportation of fields. If you understand the total concept and the principle. If you look at it, your two hands are the two patches, but this time you have the control to change it. But the patch is fixed. With your hand, your emotion changes. In a way, if you look at it, is in the subconscious of the man. Do I want to accept what he doesn't want? You call it the pain. And do I want to give from me or him or the body to accept new energy that it allows the body to be in comfort position or no pain? It's the environment which you create and you have a control over emotion. It's a very interesting test if you ever manage to do it, understand it. You know, I don't know if you played a game when you were children and you write on the back of your friend and say, what did I write? And he has to feel the touches that you have, the impression you made on his nervous system. Now try to do this with thoughts, with the soul, and see if they can read. And if you are prepared to go through that exchange. How many of you will go and touch a man as a human being, not as a man, as a person, as a physical body of a male, and knowing he has a cancer, you accept that? In the military force, they call it the ultimate sacrifice. But what you receive, would it be the cancer to you? Would your strength be higher than what he calls the cancer in the body of the person you try to receive it from? Then are we confident enough that we can take? Go back to the teachings of very, very early times in training or in Susanna or before that. I always said, in the future, you give your soul to the captain. But would that captain be there to carry such a strength? Oh, who would he say, I can't carry this part of your soul, I can only carry that one? The strength of the knowledge is understanding the truth about yourself and what you carry. How much can it take? If you think of it, when you put a patch on one side is stronger and a patch on the other side, and you put a cancer tumor in between, and you do everything to reduce the cancer tumor, where does that energy go? Or does the weaker back get cancer? Or does it spread the energy in a way that you can never find cancer? All our research up to now shows you don't see any cancer remains. But in between the patch and the skin of the man, you find the residuals of cancer. But in the patches, you don't find it. the energy balance, the field energy interaction balance changes in the patches. We see it. We have detected it. Any other question?
Perhaps you could give some clarification to Dan regarding the idea of intellectual property, and he's worried about how will he know whether he can share with others and teach others freely if he's interrupting.
It's the fear of the strength of your will, isn't it? I don't have any fear I share. You got to understand, it's a very old say from the Saudis, and now that they educated their people, they changed their position. Saudis had a very clear line for years that there is no patent right, because once you think of it, it belongs to God and everything belongs to everybody. But they had no means of doing it. It was just if they wanted to copy something. Now they have educated some of their people, and now they paid a lot of foreigners to come in, and they paid them to such that now the intellectual right counts because they spend money on it. But we become the old Saudis, and we say that once you reach the point of knowledge, you share the knowledge, and if it is for you to gain from this knowledge, then it'll come to you in a confidence, in action, in deed, not fear of not doing, of might happen. Learn from me, have no fear to share. And you see the foundation grows bigger and bigger, and it's becoming stronger and stronger. It's the way we have been brainwashed into this thing. By sharing the knowledge and letting the knowledge seekers to do, many knowledge seekers spread the knowledge beyond one man could do. And now we see it coming back, making a very strong base for a lot of us, what we want to do. There are certain knowledges which we don't release because man is not ready for it. And certain knowledges we use for a specific purposes to create the specific conditions to achieve what is our bigger goal and plan. And this should not be misunderstood. As I said at the beginning, very earlier on, we could teach the whole knowledge, give you a spaceship and put you in space and say, wow, but where does go the animal behavior of the man in space? Then I have to fight with everything else in space, not to kill, not to destroy. How did we know what fish is more delicious than the other? Or we like lamb, but we don't like donkey or lion to eat. We tasted it, we killed it. Would the man do the same in space with what comes? How does it taste? It's always said, it's an old movie, I said it many times. White, blonde, blue-eyed girl on a tree next to black, brown skin, black eyes. And she says, do you taste like chocolate? Can I lick you? That licking has to stop. Enjoying to what is in present, not what is in the mouth and the soul, and what we call the physical dimension of man. This is one of the biggest problems with mankind. We got to stop you eating and tasting, but enjoy the presence. How many creatures of the universe will taste like a jelly, and how many of them will be chocolate? Mayhem. We got to stop man tasting. When stop tasting means stop killing. Those who have a fear of intellectual rights, those are the feeble-minded. Because that's the only thing they could ever have now is important. When you share, you receive more to share. Any other question? Today's teaching is very much directed to the Iranian space scientists and people who work in that environment as they are developing their technologies in certain directions. Those of you who work in the space technology, you should have received a lot of gifts today as a knowledge. We're monitoring the progress development. When we see there is a huge space gap between the Iranian knowledge seekers and knowledge in space and the rest of the world, how it's happening, I don't understand. Maybe it's because of the situation we are in and where the soul of the knowledge comes from. But in part, a large part of the teaching today was targeted for the Iranian space people who are developing dimensions. Any other question?
There's a question from Jan regarding the reactor. So you create a push to move the plasma fields by tilting the reactor. How about tilting the reactor at 23.5 degrees as it's the angle of Earth's rotational axle? And the second question, will different
What
tilting...
happens if you go at 10.5 degrees?
Well, then he asks, will different tilting angles create different push of the fields and lead to creation of different results? And I think that's about what you're about to say.
Goodbye, loneliness. Remember that song. You got to understand the diversity of life on this planet is due to the angle position. It's multifaceted field interactions. Now we'll see a lot of angled reactors now.
And of course, Lawrence asks, how to detect the central axis of the universe?
Ooh, that is easy. That's absolutely easy. It's like, you know, you have these Christmas balls and you hang them all from the ceiling and all stand in the same line. If you look at the true line of interaction of all the galaxies, all the planets, they stand in the same line as the universe. The actual direction of the universe is tilted, it's not straight. That's why it creates such a diversity in the universe. Our heart is a replication of it. And that's why life is not the exclusivity of this planet. in the future, mankind will have a big surprise. And that is, nowadays, if you are American, you say my ancestors came from that country and that country. In the space, when man become knowledgeable, those who understand the work of the universe, they will tell you, my soul comes from planet Earth. Which means the soul of creation created on this planet led to creation of the life where that soul came from. As I said in one of the teachings, do you want to be a particle in part of what be the star which creates it? And these are the things which man soon will come to understand. The way you are proud to be an Iranian in America, come from Iran, my parents and grandparents or whatever. In coming to terms of understanding the soul of the man leads to creation of the dimensions of life. Man or creatures will know where their soul comes from. And they will tell you, you feel it, you understand it, we have a common denominator. Creator of the soul is the woman there. Any other question? You got to understand, in the future, many of men and scientists will understand the meaning of the teachings of today and the past, but to you is, as I said, a noise or a voice. Maybe you understand part of it, but to them it will be reality, because by then it's matured enough for them to understand the totality.
Okay, Jan has another question. Are God's fields rotating upright or at an angle?
I think I answered you before in the teaching.
I think that's been answered.
And if you listen to the set last week, they said Christ never come back, so very soon they will say God doesn't exist. Because the whole dimension of their control is in danger. When you deny the Son of God, you think you're going to accept the God itself. And soon they call themselves God. Any other question?
There was a question earlier from Lawrence. How to become part of the operations on a national or global level? Who is to be contacted? Like you mentioned, having the separation of the companies and or commercial and the Keshe Foundation or whatever. So how does one become part of the national or global operations?
We're setting a structure of mistake. As you know, we had many people in the foundation 2 years ago. And now we have brought it down. It's come down due to different conditions, and us partially, deliberately reorganizing to very few. And now, as I said, the setting of the correct structure falls in the hand of the head of the Keshe Foundation, and her work with Universal Council and Earth Council. They have to set up new structures as they see fit, and the job of the what I call the new organization as a commercial entity is to finance and facilitate these needs through correct conduct and setting up of the application of the technology and development of technologies. And this all will go back to the Keshe Foundation management and Earth Council and Universal Council in coming weeks, to a structure to be prepared and structure themselves to be able to govern on a correct basis. We'll see a lot of individuals who try to use the old ways of me, and those who try to accommodate these means. And this has to stop. I see a lot of it in the Universal Council. I see part of it in the operation of the what do you call Keshe Foundation management before, and this all will change. As I said, I'm a facilitator and will facilitate for the organizations we set up to operate smoothly. But the number of employees, the number of people who serve the foundation, you don't need to be paid to do things. Many people came to foundation by serving, and then it changes to money because it paid to be, and the functionality dropped off. We will see massive transfers of support into the foundation in the coming weeks and months, because the control which they put up through newspapers and media now has no control, and will have no control, because there are other ways we are watching and we do things. And this needs a new structure, and that structure partially has to come from trial and tested or future failures of the management of the foundation, Universal Council and Earth Council. But in a way, whatever they do wrong or they might do or look wrong, at the end will turn up to be to the benefit of the man.
I suggested that the people could apply at the Human Resources Center of the Keshe Foundation and get into the database with their skills and whatnot, and at some point might be contacted.
We made a lot of these things, databases, information, and it's going to be more. You got to understand, with going in such a way into public domain where financial gains are concerned, new structures will come up. The foundation will find new structures to apply and bring these things in. We don't have all the expertise in the foundation, but the expertise has to be brought in to be paid for the services to structure it properly. We have started even at this earlier stage looking at mergers and acquisitions of the companies and organizations which fit us and bring the expertise in. Because it takes a long time, but we can bring it and bring the ethos of the foundation, look at their structure, how it fit to us, how we look at the profitability, and how we look at their use of their knowledge and expertise will expedite our work. A lot of work, as I've said to the discussions with the foundation, is to bring expertise in. We don't have it that way to get it and to build it, but teach the expertise what we expect in our direction. You have expertise. This is a very big situation. Spain with the foundation is that we have true knowledge seekers, and we have true people who devote their life to serve the foundation, but they don't necessarily make a good businessman, or not a businessman, but the way to be able to control the structure of the running of the foundation's will, as we call their finances. And these things have to be done by expertise and by people who we have, and to be brought in and understood by them. This is our structure. They'll make deviations, they make trying to fit into the old ways, but we have to change gradually. What we say is exactly with the shareholdings come in, we will guarantee what you call dividend. We don't wait to guarantee dividend. We guarantee the amount which allows the foundation to operate with all its ethos at the same time that you have an income from it that it can support. We did the same thing with the coins. We will guarantee not to wait what's going to be this dividend. Am I have enough to eat for what I invested? It has to be correct. And as I said, we set the companies to a specific target of $1 million a day minimum profit, profitability, accountability. And when we accept so many shares to be, this is the guarantee that that's going to be the return, the what you call, that you are guaranteed the life. We guarantee your pensions by your own investment in your own dimension, not by somebody else sweatshops and loss. You can be still 19, go to Keshe Foundation offices or put your life in, because you know at the end of it is pays and looks after you. This is how it should be, not the old way. I sit back and somebody open my mouth and they feed me. These things all gradually will structure it, you understand. We need expertise, and the position of the foundation is very clear. We have to guarantee an income for those who invest to develop data. And as we've done with all of those who serve the foundation, as I said before, in a coming time, in 2-3 cycles, all those more or less who we can remember we have will be thanked for services to the foundation by sharing the assets of the shares of the foundation. You will see it is in public domain. And those who supported us in different ways, we have put not values to it, but what services come with it. Even some of us think we serve better than the others, but in so many ways, you put your life to develop the foundation the way it is. It's our obligation to thank you and to support you, to be there, be it financially, be it social structure. We created a just and correct environment. We don't create a communist that everybody's equal. It didn't work because the ethos of it was set in a different way, and we see corruptions and everything else with it. It has to be, there should not be a time limit on the life of the man. And there should not be a process that deliberately pharmaceuticals develop technologies that people die at a certain age, because the owners of the pharmaceutical shares are the pension companies, which have to keep on paying. So the more they can create condition of not paying, the wealthier they become. They can give the shareholders, that the shareholders being wealthy to have their all, they die themselves of what they receive in the wrong direction. Workforce has to be to the last point when a man decides to share his force, not dictated by those who can share the profit of his life to their own advantage. It's a way to do, and as you will understand, depletion of the population on this planet will force just and correct conduct to support life here. This is part of what we have to understand. And it's not wanting to, is we have to. A lot of Keshe Foundation supporters who came in just came for the money of it. We've seen it, we see it. We have a recording of them sitting there, oh, Keshe is a fool, he pays us, this is the money for holiday, we pretend. And they appear only the last 2 days of the month, sending something as they're busy. We're not fool, we understood. But it didn't steal from the foundation, it stole from humanity. But in a way, it needed that we become wise to the reality of how people manage. So we need expertise, and it'll come with it. We buy expertise in, and we share knowledge. We have no fear of sharing. We hold some things back because, in a way, it's our bargaining power for a bigger structural piece. As I said, we exchange knowledge for peace. And sometimes you have to bargain with the government, see what you have in your hand, how much you want, and what I want. My bargaining is not with Knowledge Keshe Foundation, Knowledge Seekers and Humanity. My bargaining is with the governments to change them from diversion of killing for someone to be called the president or the king. As I said, there should be no passport. I wonder if we issue passports to people from Mars or Moon or the other part of the universe, or do they come and go because we can't catch them? Would we create a taxman for them? Now you understand how ridiculous the situation is that we have created for ourselves. We set a new structure for work from now on. And this structure has to be correct from a space foundation work to the top. And in so many ways, as I said very recently, we threw a lot of seeds and we brought in a lot of birds. And these birds came to understand they're not here to be slaughtered just because we brought them in. They're here to fly and pass the message of peace to the rest of the birds, and this is what it is. And this is very amazing if you understand it, how it works. As I said, last year, I don't know if you heard this or not, in Mongolia, we ran a test in harvest. And our harvest, because we were taking a land which we took part of the what do you call it, the farming land which was already cultivated for 100 days, and it was 100 meter long by about 22 meter wide. We took a third of this, and we watered, we created an environmental condition that in this stretch of 100 meter, the third we took, the seeds were grown already for 100 days, so we had no interference with the growth up to that point. And from the 100th day to 120, 130 days, where the seeds mature and they had to harvest the wheat and then the rice and the other things, like 57 days for others, the harvest grew very rapidly in our section. And in that 30 days of harvesting, from the time they applied our technology, the harvest matured by about 4 or 5 days faster than the rest. And in maturing, the birds came and they started eating it. And we had complaint after complaint from our team in the farm and the farmers, in agricultural research center type thing, that they never seen so much birds. Birds are eating everything. And this complaint came on and on for days till they harvested. And when we took the measurement of the weight of the harvest, um, in our part, in parts we more than doubled, and in other parts we tripled the harvest. And I said, you know what's funny? Can you imagine if you complain so much that the birds eaten so much of it? Well, how much would it have been if the birds wouldn't have taken it? Would it be 4 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the harvest? And this is how life is. The more we give, the more we get. But at the same time, there is enough to give more for the others to enjoy the time. We're all the birds, and then knowledge is the expansion of the seed. There is no end to it. And we shared with the birds, and we still got 2, 3 times more, and the farmers are still complaining. It wasn't enough. It's the greed of the man. And this is what we will see. They never seen so much birds. They were complaining so much. They never seen so much bird, and they're eating all the seeds. They were not eating from the seeds which are not ripe. They were eating from the seeds which are ripe, and it was in our section. So this is how it should be. We spread the knowledge, we give it, then you cultivate it, and it comes back, and we harvest the seed that more people will benefit by it. But the technology is taking its course, and we are not at a turning point. We have turned the point, and next week, and most probably you hear it before we talk to you next week, as the what they call by law, we have to release certain documents as we take over, and then you will understand the work of the foundation. Then we dictate our condition. There is a what we call the market value, and there is what's the Keshe Foundation share value to buy on the future of the stock with the knowledge we have, they don't have. And with it, we'll announce certain conditions, but we guarantee we do not go by this and that. We secure, first of all, as I said, our workers to be paid correctly. Then we secure the shareholders to be paid correctly, as the investment is your life. And with it, we secure governments and the national, and then the board structure. There is enough to share, there is no shortage. I will not, as long as I'm alive, allow the workers to suffer. I suffered with my workers in Ghana with what happened to us. I pleaded with them, but there's not much we have to set a point that we cannot be this way. And in due course, we will see the position will prevail. And we should be able to guarantee the security of job. We should be able to guarantee security of correct income. And we should not encourage the greed of the man. But somewhere in between, we'll find a balance. And we'll let you know next week. It has to be. It has to be a new way of structuring workforce. No limitation to life. No limitation in that day you give up. You want to go for a year off, you're quite welcome to take a year off. But on that hand, what is going to be in that time? Do we need to work so extensively just to have enough to eat? But you have to understand it takes time for man to adjust as well. We've been abused so much that to get used to not to be abused, it takes time to settle in. Any other question?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. I have a question.
Is there any time you don't have a question, Azar?
I haven't asked question for a long, long time, Mr. Keshe.
I think I've answered enough.
No, I have another question, but I'm just trying to work it out myself. I figured out at the end, I guess. I have a question. When the cash coin come in play in this picture, the stock market and everything else,
Pardon?
the cash coin that we created.
The cash coin stays, you can keep it as it is. It stays as a currency which will come into operation between the factories and in exchange in structure of the government. Where you work for Keshe Foundation organizations, we will establish what is called cash coin value payment, which means you get paid, let's say, 1,000 coin a month in Ghana, and you get paid 1,000 coins in United States. And you want to spend your 1,000 coin in US products or in buying something from Keshe Foundation in Ghana. You got to look at the bigger picture. And that is, we structured, everything is done. Now is to bring them into play.
Because my understanding was the cash coin is supposed to become the universal currency in the future as we become one nation.
Yes, it'll become universal currency within originally of the Keshe Foundation operation. And then it will come out. I had a discussion with the World Bank, and I had a discussion with our bankers on this. This is one of their biggest concern. Where is the cash coin going? And as I explained to the World Bank people and the bankers, is as its internal currency for Keshe Foundation. So you decide the way you do with other coins, you want to sell it or buy it or change it, or I accept cash coins for my t-shirt. If you want to buy it, then it's your decision. But it's primarily internal valuation that we create one currency planet. You will see it once the factories start coming in. We will have two prices on our products. One is the local currency and one is a cash currency coin.
Mr. Keshe, another question I have, when we regarding taxes, when we create, say I have a factory in USA, say I'm working on teleportation device, and that you don't need to use a car or plane, you just can teleport yourself anywhere you want. So if I create a factory like this and I'm working on it and I create that and selling it, I don't want to pay taxes for it, but because where is my taxes going? Because I don't want to send my taxes to go and kill other people. So I don't want to sell my product.
You see, you come back to Keshe Foundation 19%. Gradually, we are already talking to a number of organizations like this. Companies will join the Keshe Foundation, and you will see very slowly, especially at the beginning, that they will collectively negotiate through Keshe Foundation for tax payments nationally, internationally. You will understand how it works very soon.
Because I said to myself, I create a factory, I create a device. Say I sell my device $5,000 a piece. So from that $5,000,
what is your fear of paying taxes? How come you don't have a fear of using the street?
No, Mr. Kesh, I have no fear of paying taxes. What I don't like to pay, when I pay taxes, 37% tax, I don't mind paying half of the 50% taxes at all. Because if I pay 50% taxes and my taxes goes to build roads, to go for education of the kids and create things for public, I pay all my salary for it. It's no problem at all. I take what I need to take food and everything. I pay the rest. The
You
question is,
live like me then.
of course, it's no problem. Because the question is my taxes going to rob more people, kill more people? I don't want that.
You see, this is, I understand your point, but this is what is changed, what will change. As you see, we said the end of wars has come. We're living, we see it. Even though a lot of people are pushing it, it would not happen. But in general, we have to bring a collective tax. And collective tax is what comes from the profit of what is sold, what is used, to what extent is used. You got to understand, in a coming time, I don't need to buy food. I do not need water supply. I don't need electricity supply. I can produce everything in one system, which I have. But I go on the road. I use the whatever common denominator usage of hospitals, schools, and everything else. Is the cost different in United States and in, let's say, Kenya? Not really. Bottom price is there, and to me, in understanding the reality and knowing how a lot of people have a problem with taxation is, first of all, colossal 25%, 30%, 50% in some part of Europe, 70% of your what you earn in total goes in taxation. If you understand, you pay your taxes, and then on top of it you pay the VAT, and then everything else you use another 17% on top, and then on top of it you have other expenses which comes in. You actually will take 30% home. The condition of around 19% is a correct balance. I don't mind, I take 4 times, they take 1, but I have other facilities. In some cases we go as low, it can be done to be able to understand those who generate substantial amounts of effort and workforce would like to hold more to do more, but now with this new technology, to do what more? This is why we're building a factory in each country. We become the backbone workforce in a way, not paying taxes, but creating conditions that the taxes come out of it. It's not single marketing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, because regarding the taxes, I learned from you, because you said one time that if you pay taxes and the government taxes your money, that you use your taxes to kill people and do the wrong thing, your soul is involved. So I don't want to be involved with that. I mean,
I understand, but you got to understand, when we get involved, then we try in the long term to create a condition that there is no harm to mankind. There is a very big problem. I was talking to one of the American senior general recently, and his mind is bubbles. I'm there to kill you, Mr. Keshe. You're my biggest enemy, but I sit at the table, I talk with you as a Iranian nuclear physicist. And I have to understand, you're finishing my job. The stars on my shoulder has no value, because I got the stars because I killed for it. I planned to kill for it, and I carried a lot of it in Iraq and God knows other places. You put them in a point of consciousness, and this is going to be a very big problem for a lot of governments. It's not just killing, it's converting the effort of the man in the right direction. And it will change. It's part of the long-term work and negotiations of the foundation. As I said, try to reach into these conferences, especially the first one, second one in Austria. And we don't expect many from outside, but you will see the way we negotiate with governments and open the eyes of governments with new technologies.
Mr. Cash, I was even thinking going knock on everybody's door in here in USA and tell people don't pay your taxes, and I create a bank account and we put the money in the account and we start using
You
it.
can't do that. The structure they put you in the block.
Yeah, that's what I figured, because I was thinking, talking to a lawyer, he said you cannot do it because they come and arrest you. So
Oh, they arrest you. But the thing is, you can negotiate in different ways with governments. As you see with our beginning of the teaching today, I made it very clear. We pay the governmental taxes on the company, but we pay the 50% into other directions. Governments, if they can use that 25% to buy arms or other, and then we make systems that research what they call makes it obsolete. How many times do you think governments try to sell standard arms? Saudis will buy it. The reality is that the structure, the way we set up 10 years ago, and we openly perfected it in past 5 years by sharing knowledge, has closed a lot of doors on a lot of other activities. When we can show we can produce energy unlimited, when we can show we can feed the nation without even flicking a finger. And today I heard the Americans are putting a new extension on the space system up there that they can charge for it. I can take it to the moon for $5. Would you pay 250 or 20 million or whatever to Americans to go and hang around in the air? Technology makes the views obsolete. This is the beauty of it. We don't go uprise, don't pay taxes. We always, if you listen, I pay full tax. Keshe Foundation should pay full taxes on their operation in each country. Because otherwise, what we're doing, we're stealing from nation to put in the big pot of other nations. Workers in the first class has to be looked after properly, paid according, not obsessively, extensively, that they think they're God and it's something you can just get in to get a job. You'll find out we set a structure. We get rid of those who come in for holidays to work, but it's the holiday to work, but that has to contribute to the humanity. Then we pay full taxes to the governments. Don't forget our workers get taxed more with what we pay them, but they earn more. In a way, we double pay tax. And then in that condition, we create a new condition of peace. I will not pay 25% to the government, which is spending arms. I pay to the government negotiating 15%. Give enough, plenty, but not enough to spend on arms. And secondly, the way we create the new technologies and we release the new technologies, arms are useless. This is not a fear. My fear is how these people are going to handle when what they build to create fear has no room to exist.
but Mr. Cash, my philosophy is if you have a company, like that's what I do. If you pay your worker more, you have less profit, so you pay less taxes. So at the end of the year, if I instead of have $200,000, if I have 150,000, I pay the 50,000 to my workers, so I don't pay taxes on the 200,000. So I pay less.
Yeah, but it got to be structured that it goes right across. You know, they say in the West, you get a job where there are unions, you're in butter for the rest of your life. Do nothing, because if they want to sack your union, will do something for you. But the problem is, if we look after the people ourselves, is there a need for a union? I get more working my way than those that they restrict me to abuse. It will change. You will see the way we structure it will change quite drastically. You have to give the freedom to people to show their beauty and what they contain. And then you have a problem that people, once they see what they can do, they become very arrogant and proud. This is what I've done, it's mine. And then we see the pattern of the things which has happened around Keshe Foundation in recent past. But there is a way, to handle these things. But it takes time, in a very short time.
Because the whole system is obsolete, because as a company, when you have a company, you're making so much profit, is your obligation to pay not only for the salary, to pay for the housing, to pay for the children's education, to pay for their health, pay for everything. At the end of the year, how much do you need? That's the whole system is obsolete. It has to go.
You see, if you work in China, they give you accommodation and the food, and you work in the factory. When we look at the factories around China, we're setting up industrial zones. Wherever I've been, there is a dormitory with it and a canteen. But it's the dormitory with 4 people, 6 people in a little hut condition of creating a pleasurable life? Or is it a condition that just they spend their life, we give them something, they give something to the house back in the village where they come from, but we make a lot of profit that we goes to whatever, to the next step. Shouldn't be the understanding of the new condition is respecting men, paying enough that you don't put 6 or 10 people in one room. For the American company to make a bigger profit, to become richer, to abuse your nation again. As I suggested to the Chinese, zero trade with abusing countries is the only solution. And we'll come to it. And the way we structure it, taxation is not a worry. I don't like to pay taxes, but I pay taxes when it's correctly used. Many governments, I've dealt with them many, many years. Understanding the condition is we are destroying part of the condition. Why do I pay 25% or 20%, whatever the government taxes is? Because you got to understand, with the new technology, we put a lot of people unemployed. It's not needed. How many of you think gonna run a Tesla car in the next 10 years? I very recently suggested, as you know, our favorite car, one of the old cars, used to be a Beetle. They brought a new version of it out, and the last one went out a couple of months ago. They don't produce anymore. But what I said is the best car we need, because it looks like a spaceship, especially the new ones, and we just take the motors out and the wheels out and we have a spaceship. So we will soon offer a condition to Volkswagen to take that mold and start reproducing it. It's a perfect thing for a flight system. I don't need to design one, they already have it. It's called a Beetle. They see it as a loss making. To me, is the next generation of the flight system. For people, you just put chairs in it, the table in the middle. You have no front, no back, everything is done. So then how do we pay taxes for these people? As I said, with showing new technologies, we force new dimensions and direction. But we have to be able to support these people with these structures. With the new system, the new car doesn't need engine, doesn't need a fuel tank, doesn't need wheels as such you might think you need. You don't need no exhaust, you need no gearbox. Now put these together and see how many jobs is going to be lost in Mercedes or Ford factory. What are we going to do with these people? It's the evolution of science. We cannot stop. It's not that we stop the car industry. We don't need these parts. What are we going to do with it? So what we're going to do with the workers working there? And this goes right through the work. Look at the pharma. 90% of the jobs in pharmaceutical will go in no time. Would you like to pay $10,000 or what's the new one? $2 million for one tablet for one illness, where you can get it for 20 cents, or you can do it in half the time with nothing. But we put a price on it because that's what it is, and it pays for that. We explain to people why we do this. On the 9th of September, you will hear in the national, international press about new Keshe Foundation health program which has started. It's a press conference, it's set up, and then again on 27th. But it's not something we're going to hide. Keshe Foundation is proud in what is achieved. And then, do we give it free, or do we allow for research to be done? But this is what we think it's worth, that's what we want from it. It's announcements after announcements. All the hard work is done. A lot of basic hard work is done. There's a lot more to be done to come. As I said to you, we'll give you telephone numbers and everything else regarding the conditions you can process. And it's in national press, everything on the 9th of September. You have to understand, the same system was used to reverse the same illness in Belgium. They destroyed documents and tried to make it fraud and criminals. And then you think the European court is going to listen to that fraud and deception. They say it's nothing done, it's the same technology. Now it's done nationally and is used by everyone. You understand how we play the game? Governments are breaking down on the back pressures of the health they cannot afford to pay for. We are a relief to them. You think they're going to listen to a bunch of what you call abusers? When we go, when we share with a lot of strength, and everything has been done. I put my life on it. When on the 27th it's done by national organization, local governments are there. It's the way we set it up, but in a large scale. And now you will see it. You go to China, you got certain diseases. We have the permission, the freedom, and the structure to let you use it, or do we send everybody to China, where we actually produce the systems in Europe or China? Which government do you think they're going to listen to? Now you understand how ridiculous 12,000 fraud they tried to pick up. They were after this technology to milk it. Now it's milked by humanity.
Mr. Keshe, I have another question.
Yes.
You talk about, this universe has a mother, yeah, and then the mother before that mother had another mother, because it was created from, because it was happening for billions of years. One mother gave birth to another mother, universes. So my question is, does the creator have a mother?
Or was the creator himself created out of the field of the universe that collectively became the creator?
But I'm talking about what was the first thing? I mean,
I think
before.
I answered you.
So the creator knows where he came from, or she came from, where he came from.
Depends on the way you look at it. We become the creator out of the fields of the universe. But at the same time, we create the field of the universe out of our own creation. And then it goes back. Where is the field? The original fields came. Why is there life? Why is there existence? Why interaction of nothingness, of motion of nothingness leads to creation of dimension we call life. Book number 8 will answer this.
Mr. Keshe, when you say book number 8, where is book number 8? I haven't seen book number 8.
Ah, you haven't seen it, but partially is written. You haven't seen book number 4.
What I have?
You haven't seen book number 5, book number 6. These 3 books are more or less completely written.
Only 1, 2, 3. I have no 5, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Yeah,
8.
4 or 5 and 6 are written.
Where is it?
It's usual. It's in my pocket. It's in safe.
So how come
7. Pardon?
How come we can have it?
Man is not mature enough to understand the totality of it. And we said, we start releasing books once we go back home. You'll understand something. They'll be released very sooner than you can think.
So how many books we have right now? 9?
9 up to now will be released.
And what about the one about the soul? That's number 10.
That's number 9. You have to understand the origin of magnetic fields. Then you understand the work of the soul.
That's number 8.
Yeah. Number 4 is complete. You can see it written. It was given to be pictured, and we took it out. Number 5 is written. Number 6 is written. It's all in on what do you call it, USB sticks. They are just completion of it and picturing it. 7 and 8, a lot of it has been put together. 9 has been done collectively, and Sandro was put in charge to bring all the teachings got to the soul collectively. We're waiting for him to return whatever is collected to us so we can start the structure of it. And then that'll be it. When you understand the soul, you go back to the beginning, the creation of matter. Soul of the man is the sun. An interaction of the field of the sun creates the matter. So now you understand how book number 1 connects to number 9. Any other question?
Well, Well, what you mentioned, go ahead.
Okay. We have a meeting with a Brazilian group after these teachings at 1 o'clock Central European time. There is so let me correct something. There was some misunderstanding in the past that Kevin Blondale issues certificates for people to be teachers and knowledge seekers and workshops. And a lot of people have used this to what you call profit themselves from it and everything else, and they never kept to anything which was set up, and that was a huge mistake. We canceled. Any of you received a workshop certificate, these are all something was which brainchild of what do you call Kevin Blondale. And we could see problems in it, and the problems now exacerbated into a lot of problem. A lot of people think we have a certificate to teach, and they try to do all sorts of things with the piece of paper they receive. Like a lot of people who were knowledge seekers, we asked to teach, they call themselves professors and KFUSSI, and we are the teachers and the rest of it. We stopped all these things because we seen the abuse. I told you, we give a room to see the abuse. None of the documents issued through Mr. Kevin Blondell as certificate of the workshops and things is valid. Well, we have seen the abuse on it, and if you have received such thing and anybody shows it to you, I have a certificate. About 2018, we cancelled all these because we saw how it was getting abused in a lot of ways. If you run a workshop, and the sharing of the knowledge has to be on the back of your own knowledge, do not use Keshe Foundation logo for these kind of things, or don't use our channels to come and provoke things for your own benefit, because we found out you're abusers. And we've seen that the same in the French channel side. And we're bigger than these many people you've seen try to make clever games with these things. If anybody abuses the Keshe Foundation logo, we will take legal actions. We'll inform you legally to stop using it because you are misrepresenting us. Do not use my logo because I have a full intellectual, what you call it, copyright on the logo. It was gifted to us by Reddit when he registered it. We will give freedom to use, to spread, but we don't give freedom to abuse. I hope I made that clear, because this at the moment is going on in Brazil section and in the French section, that there's a lot of hierarchy. I don't fight for hierarchy. How come you just learn a little bit, think you know more? That's the stupidity of the man and the arrogance of lack of knowledge. Carry on, Rick. Are you there?
Yes, I was just checking the question again here. The question again from Jan was, you were talking about the fields, and he's saying, well, but who or what created the first fields? Where did the fields come from? What is the origin of all fields, and what is the purpose?
What do you say in English? Watch the space. Wait for book number 8. Watch the space.
Okay.
I think in the teachings, especially in past 12 months, many references was made to it. If you listen to it, you understand it. And in one of the teachings, I thought I said too much, and I stopped because I understood nobody could understand it. In a couple of teachings in past few months, I clearly taught you the origin of the magnetic fields, origin of existence. It's like Muhammad Basir's name. He says, if you there are 100 attributes names of the Creator, 99 is written. If you read Quran from beginning to end, you'll find the 101, which is actually the Creator himself. and people have been looking for it. It's the soul of the creator. Okay, any other question?
We pretty much nailed it. I think there's one other question from Halang Ku. Do we need the justice system in the future world?
What do you think?
Well, he says there are crimes on this planet. There might be no wars, but okay, we have to make sure that everyone's got education as high as possible. Just one.
You need to educate the soul of the man, not the ear of the man and the eye of the man. That's where the problem is. Would we have criminals? You will understand the intention by the soul of the man. And we have no courts in the universe. I think it gives you a very clear answer.
Okay, we do have one person with their hand up here, but maybe it's a good time to end at the same time. Would you take one more question? Is it okay for one more question, Mr. Keshe?
Yeah, no problem. I was just reading what Jalal put on. It's very nice. He says Mr. Cohen is equal 43. Iron is 56. The total is 99. So Mr. Cohen with iron makes hemoglobin in your life. So if you put 99 hemoglobin together, you achieve man. But it still needs other parts. Next question.
From SZ, you had your SC, you have your hand up there, and
Who
Hi,
is
Mr.
SC?
Hi, Mr. Keshe. My question is,
Who are you? Excuse me.
yeah.
I've spoken with you a few weeks ago about Hashimoto's in Persian.
Yeah, but can you introduce yourself? Who you
My name is Sharon.
from?
Yes.
From where?
Right now I am in Australia.
Okay.
My question is, how are you going to overcome this dilemma? All the alternative therapies, and basically plasma will be considered alternative, is not considered by mainstream medical staff as basically as a scientific evidence-based studies. They require double-blind placebo effect,
These are all, let me answer you before. These are all the structures which is set up for a few people with the degrees to protect their book reading.
I realize it.
The new system, you will find out and you will see the mergers of it through a number of countries, is the evidence of the new technology proves itself. And we have taken that line of action, that line of work. There is no double blind. You give me 100 patients and I get 100 of them walking. There is no double blind. It means you are blind yourself to the knowledge, if you put it that way. You understand? So we have taken a totally different approach, and we've been given a lot by the governments to do so. Because the burden of the medical system is killing nations. Nobody's going to listen to FDA approval. These are all the ones who wanted to cheat humanity.
I realize that. I agree with you.
So we have set up a direction totally by open development, open testing, being open to criticism, being open to failure, understanding the process. We are dealing with bunch of top doctor scientists from nations. They are doing it, we are not. We provided the knowledge, the system, the technology, and they are doing it openly with the support of, because governments cannot, there is no solution. We see everybody says, I have a solution for Parkinson. But where is it? Why is not coming up? Why is only one man? This way now we're going for 100,000. We're going for 10,000. You understand? So
Yes, sir.
double blind is openly done with no blindness. We don't expect 100% to be correct. Even if we get 40, 50%, then the job of the completing is with people like you who understand more and say there could be a deflection, there could be something else we have to add. So the process has started.
Thank you very
Because
much.
government cannot afford. The health care is breaking the back of the nations behind the pension.
Yeah,
You
I
understand?
realize that. I realize that.
So governments are realizing we are not alternative. We are a new medical system. We are a new science. Alternative, who said what is alternative? Pharmaceutical who kill the animals and they hide everything?
Exactly.
So the situation is the products are certified, the materials are certified, expert scientists monitoring it, and the cycle has started. Nobody can stop it, more or less.
Yeah.
We are not the alternative. We are the new way of healthcare.
Yes, I realize
You
that.
understand?
Yes,
This is the difference. Who says who is alternative? The Chinese medicine is what they call the traditional medicine is one of the best ways of sorting out a lot of illnesses, because they've gone to the root where the medicine, the pain, the problem starts. But with the new chemicals, new herbicides and pesticides they use, they diverted it. With the new technology, we're changing it. We're seeing it. So it's not just China, as I said before. Africans have it in Iran, we have it here in Europe, have their own. Each one of us used the material of this earth to suit us, and we helped ourselves. Since when a bunch of what I call bandits have to certify who can use? I was talking to my son very recently. He's a consultant in pharmaceutical, and he was saying, Papa, you know, each trial costs 300 million, sometimes 150, 200 billion, and 5% of it succeed. And even that 5%, we have to massage it that it fits into the criterion of FDA, because it creates so much side effects, we just keep on hiding it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, but how are we allowed this to happen? It's just, you know, they put the money and they push the force. And I think this is the time. We are not the alternative. We are a new, natural way of a healthcare in a space. Man wants to use it. Here is his prerogative.
Yeah, pharmaceutical industries are a mafia. They're trying to control everything because money is there. And
look, no, let me tell you something very certain. It's not the pharmaceuticals comes on the back of the pension policies. Pension policies are the cause of half of the problems we have, because they have to continuously produce funds to be able to people who live longer and longer, or create conditions where they shorten the life of the people. We've seen it very recently. We've seen it very, very recently. How FDA has black boxed medicine, but they still let it go, and it's killing people. How can it be? What was the purpose of FDA? Black boxing or banning? But the pension policies finance it. They have to get something from it. Doesn't matter how many people die. With this technology, we don't have that problem. We are the openness of the use of the technology, the way many of you have done it. Many of you. When you go on the internet, when you look at it, the governments go and look at it. 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years ago, we had a mayhem with 2 years ago with what Belgians did in the court, they thought, and then the government stood still. How come if it's that bad, it increased the harvest so much? How come it's bad? It can change medical conditions. So they start looking at how they were cheated to be stolen from. And now gradually you will see the same. We are in the right place, the right time, and it's many of us, it's millions of us. And we have the support of many, many governments now to bring the movement, bring the foundation work as a scientific organization into the work of life. As long as we can show our products are safe, as long as we show our product as natural, this is one of the biggest problems which those of you who are what you call yourself in alternative medicine have forgotten. Ganses are the most natural product ever created, and they cannot certify natural product. So you don't need FDA approval. If FDA approval is needed for rose hip or drinking honey with lemon, then we all need to sign up everything and send to FDA. Which one would you certify? Which bee can we eat?
Yeah, they've been trying to basically certify some of the new natural products that exist. They make curcumin out of turmeric, basically, and try to market, and they're trying to basically have some kind of control over that as well. It is ridiculous, but
the control, you can't even collect rainwaters in some states, but it only happens in some foolish states. You got to understand something very, very important. United States is less than 3% of the world population, and the most backward nation in certain aspects. How have we allowed this 3% of population dictate 97%? Table has changed. We allowed the abuse, and now we don't need to fight it. We just set up a new structure which is free to be. The way we done it is free. You want to make ganses, you can make it, or you can go to the shop and buy gans patches which is already made for you. Which one you want? It's your freedom.
Unfortunately, the curriculum of all the universities all across Europe and Western world, as well as Middle East, is based on American system. And yes,
no, we allowed it. In my recent communication with the Chinese government, I made it was policy decision making. I made it very clear. Go to zero trade. You don't need to fight. America is 1% of the trade of China. Give guarantee to your factories inside China that they will not shut down, and see what product has been used that can be used in China as a support value by the government. You don't lose you don't close your factories until they come to their senses. You consume the material internally. Maybe you open a bigger market in the country. So I think there's got to be some sense. This is one of the reasons we finance into the United States very rapidly, because we see problems in the direction of the agriculture, and we are there to support it before it comes out in any direction. Pharmaceutical, the same. But you have to look a step beyond. You're opening a space, and in opening the space, there are no taxes in the space. I can open a hospital on the moon. Who's going to charge me? It takes less than $1 to travel. Which country owns the moon? You understand?
Yes.
This is the reality which is here. I told you, we open new dimensions in these conferences. Collective governing by nations.
Yes.
But not United Nations. United Nations has been nothing but abuse of humanity. It's one of the most shameful things to see the writing of Sadi on his story.
Yes. Yes.
We did everything what it was supposed to do. But in so many ways, we are short of we're short of man embraces once we start traveling the depth of the space. We will see new restrictions on how many and who can travel. We will lose many of us in the space travels. Accidents will happen. And many of us will bring beauties of the universe back to Earth. It's a matter of short handful of years. We have to understand once we start putting all our efforts in peace, all these efforts which are for war will go crazy. The resources available to us as by even taxation of the governments to develop the space technology, we will laugh into what is going on. I wish the Iranian government opens the space technology of Iran. It's one of my biggest wish. And then we'll see how backwards the new knowledge is. But at the same time, they develop all this military hardware, which I don't understand why Iran needs to do this with such a technology in their hand. Playing games or keeping employment, but developing new ways. We need to show the beauty of the technology, that with it will bring a new understanding of governments. It's not a matter of governing anymore. It's a matter of working together from now on. I sat in front of the American general very recently, and I was explaining to him, you know, us Iranians, as Americans, he says, I have many Iranian friends, and blah, blah. And I said, yeah, but why are we fighting? He says, I do not know why, but I have to follow a policy. And you understand, it's just, I met the American consul in Belgium. You can read his communications. We released it one day. He said, Mr. Keshe, left to me, America needs you more than any other nation with the knowledge you have. But the White House says no at the moment. He says, I want to issue you a visa that you can sort out NASA for us. There's so much mess in there. But what happened? How Keshe Foundation and I became blacklisted on NASA? You know why? They don't, the officers, they don't know. If you speak to other officers, they made 2 fake names, and by NASA rules, if 2 people make a complaint, that email will be blocked. And they can't even find out who made the complaints. They don't exist as a staff. And we think it was done by the head of the NASA himself. This is the rule in NASA. If 2 people make a complaint about a person or email, they're blacklisted. And when we ask the people from the proportion, Mr. Keshe, we don't even employ these people. It's fake, done by the management. So now NASA has to come to Iran to learn how to fly. We are real, we are not fake.
The problem of humanity is greed and jealousy. And unfortunately, because of these two factors.
In a way, it has been part of our success too. Huh?
Yeah.
The greed has brought us to many ways. But it's in a way, we, as I said, we are not alternative medicine. We are the new medical facilities for a space. Here is at your freedom to learn. And we are not going to be 100% right all the time. We learn. And with it, we add to the knowledge. But you can join. I was hoping to, I have the numbers and we have all the details, but we have to finish a couple of things in China. We give you the telephone number, or you can call the number that guide you into where to go and whatever else. And a lot of illness. China will become one of the leading health sections in the world. People would travel to China to use the Keshe Foundation technology. And we are proud to work with the Chinese. The same with agriculture, but there's still in China there are people who are abusing the work of the foundation to their own benefit. But we stop those through other ways. Challenge, they know. We already warned some of them. But we'll see.
God willingly, everything. Yeah, God willingly, everything is going to go fine.
Oh, it will go fine. We already decided. We're just watching an act. It's just, they have to exercise and practice a little bit before you get the final act. These are all practices. There are a few things needs to be made ready, and then the man comes to conclusion, not forced on man.
Thank you for answering my question, and looking forward to talk to you later on. Wish you guys a lot of luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Shall we call it a day?
There's always more. Maybe you could answer the last one from Mark here, which is...
I thought your last one was the last one.
Well, it's not.
Which Mark is that one?
Mark Anderson. He's asking, is the 51-story medical complex gifted to the Keshe Foundation, which was reported to be open and in operation in December, continuing as planned? It seems a mammoth undertaking.
Yes. You got to understand, we're not going to open a whole 51 floor tomorrow and it's all there. We move in and we start the structure. The hospital, which is we start on the 9th of September, is the first phase of the development. And then on 27th, while we are in a conference here in Europe, and there will be a public conference in China for the second hospital using the operation as a public conference with the backup of a lot of other things to go with it. And then this will build up to the next steps into a structure with the government and into bigger scale operation. We are going through phases of what you call it, understanding the limitation. Doctors are there to support it, and this is done in hospitals which you in the West dream to be in such a hospital. The wings and sections of the hospital have been set up deliberately, especially by the scientists for testing. We're going into the massive trial cases. What will show China will become one of the leading health, nations in new space science. Because don't forget that we'll become one of the main partners in the space program, in the coming up space program. So we have to test it out. We know how to handle it in there and how it's going to be. The numbers on the hospitals we can give you even now, but we have to have the confirmation on our side that it's all ready to go. We have to set up the machinery, has to be set up completely by the 9th, and we have a mammoth job in setting up there just to look after the Chinese side. It's massive investments, massive investments in time and effort, and many, many thanks to Chinese doctors and scientists who are with us and officials. We have a beautiful guys there who take us from step to step, guiding us in the right way, be it in agriculture, be it on health side, and we've been told after November, other sides like space and military will be discussion. If it goes that way, and most probably now that we have received certifications for receiving certifications for our systems and materials in China, will change the position. I think very soon those who try to stop this technology to go, they'll be ashamed of what they've done themselves, and we've got to be gracious enough to take them back in and not to disgrace them. They will disgrace them and their nations, being the king of the nation or the police of the nation. But as they say, the proof of the pudding is in eating it, and now the technology is growing so fast around the world that will show the kings will step down themselves, shame of what they've done. And we don't need to do anything. All our job is to push with development, push with sharing knowledge openly the way you do. And one of my requests to all of you is stop insulting each other on the internet. You do nothing damage to yourselves. Keshe Foundation is big enough, can stand it. and trying to see who's better than other. We all carry part of it. And when the arrogance comes in, is when the problem starts to end up. Try to work from now on to be, you have conflicts of interest, conflict of understanding, resolve it amicably, not we've seen people doing things which we just keep our eyes closed. We've seen people from the French side who we had to close their accounts because of the abuse, and we knew how they were doing it. And they come into our channels trying to, people are not stupid, they see what you do. And we've seen again in other places, work as one team, because today, as I said, maybe it's the last time I can speak so openly, because whatever I say from now on will affect a lot of you and your lifestyles, and in a way, what is going to be done. We have, we do not go fighting. We carry on working correctly, that there is no need for fighting. The same will go with the American administration, the same goes with the Iranian administration, the same with the Chinese and many others. We request from the Universal Council member of Israel to open the direct talks for investment in Israel with industrialization of the new technology in Tel Aviv, in conjunction with the work with the Palestinians. We don't look at Israel as state of Israel, we look at as Palestine. And we are prepared to invest in Israel in understanding that the work will be shared equally between Palestinians and the Jews. And in a way, this is the job of the Universal Council of Israel, to set up the MOUs, investment of the Keshe Foundation in Israel, on an equal basis. We do the same with America, we do the same with Iran and the rest. We are nation blind. And that needs a lot of thinking. With technology and science, we can close a lot of prejudices. You know, there's a best example of it. I always say to my children, we saw in the French football team a few years ago. One Moroccan changed the whole emotion of a nation. This is what is to come. This is the best part of it to come. We invest as much in Palestine as we invest in Iran and the United States according to the population, as much as we do in Africa. And is part of being one nation. We have to close our eyes to shortcomings. Some of these microphones. This is, as I said, is the job of Universal Council members from now on to take action and steps, especially for Austrian conference. You are members of the Universal Council. It's your job to start inviting your ambassadors in Vienna to the meeting and inform us when we back you. It is to come and to sit and to discuss and to see what is the change, what is to come. The Vienna conference is an ambassadorial, national, international conference, not just for knowledge seekers, but this time we show the knowledge is shared amongst men. We wish we could hold it in other places, but as you know, we used to hold ambassador meetings in Keshe Foundation Center in Belgium. And in due course, it will be held in Malta. But if you are members of the Keshe Foundation, if you are members of the Universal Council members, you can invite your ambassadors to the meeting to see the new technology. The invitation for governments in 3 days is absolutely free. We will make the invitations ourselves, but we can start doing it. Doesn't matter which country you come from. We need to know who comes when they come, and they inform us through the channels. Make the effort, because we have made the ground for it to be ready to do. Thank you very much for today. And we'll see each other next week, and I'm sure 100% next week we'll give you the name of the company. If you most probably hear it before we do, as we have to declare our intentions, or maybe we coincide. It depends on how our team will do. And then we will let you know the name of the hospital. The Chinese side, we cannot take more than maybe 5 or 10 patients at this moment internationally. We know that. I have to tell you that. The systems we have operational, we can give percentage of it to outside, and percentage will be Chinese. And I think it'll be about maximum 10 patients initially in the first couple of months we can allow. In a way, it's international cooperation. We try to open the Chinese to make China a health center through the Keshe Foundation technology. And then gradually the number of hospitals in the next 6-12 months will increase in China to huge numbers. And then we have to see how the rest of the world governments will allow the same procedure to transfer into, what do you call it? What do you call in the whole organization of the Keshe Foundation. Just receiving information from Brazil that there will be more presentation of technology in symposiums, and we are given certain hours to present the technology. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll try to do our best, but there will be change of mind from next week in Keshe Foundation, our teachings and our approach in our teachings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, once again for yet another Knowledge Seekers workshop here. Okay, if there's no further announcements, I think that'll wrap it up for today. Okay, anybody who has any questions lingering, you can bring them up in the next Knowledge Seekers workshop, perhaps. We'll see how how Mr. Keshe is for answering questions at that point. It might all be different, but I'm sure we'll get him to continue teaching. That will probably carry on, I assume, Mr. Keshe, in some degree as usual. We'll see. Okay, thank you very much for today's 290th Knowledge Seekers workshop for Thursday, August 22nd, 2019. And I think Flint will take us out here, and we'll see you all next week, same time and place.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate donate. Hello.